Alright, Rogue Gang, for some of you out there, you done bumped uglies, you bumped bellies, you made the assault with a friendly weapon and did the dance in the dark, and now you're in your first trimester, and you're like, oh shit, what do I do? So here we're going to talk about today the 5 things that I think are important, and also that I gathered from friends and family for your first trimester and how to thrive in it. At first I was going to name this video how to survive the first trimester, but I didn't like that. It sounded really heavy. So I was like, you know what? How can I make this where people can thrive in the first trimester? So, number 1, take the time to mentally prepare for the next 9 months, both together and when you're apart. My men out there, when you're with your woman, sit down with your lady, have a day, maybe 2 days a week where you sit down and you talk about things you might need to prepare for. You're not really too worried about doing too much now, at least we weren't, but you will later, obviously. So take the time, sit down, talk about any needs that you may have. Start maybe just getting a little small preliminary list. Start talking to friends, family members that have and have had kids, and see what they kind of got together their first trimester. Now, number 2 is really important, and it involves sitting down with your partner and telling them any kind of fears or concerns you may have. This is obviously a process, especially if it's your first one, that you may feel a lot of fears and doubts and insecurities because you're like, oh, I'm about to be a parent, and like it's not something you've ever trained before on, not something you've ever been, and it's not something that comes with a manual either. And that comes with those fair shares of negative emotions. So it's important that you sit down and you talk to your partner, especially as men. We need to learn how to sit down, be vulnerable with our partner and ourselves, and to have that open dialogue so that we can get ahead of those things very early on in the relationship, both with your partner and with your kids. So you're not taking those into, the later stages of pregnancy, and then also the earlier stages of your child's birth. Because you don't want to have that. You want to have that out of the way, and it's probably going to always a little bit be there because you're always want to make sure you're doing a good job. But you have to do your best to be self-aware and assess, like, okay, we're fine, we're doing good, we're communicating, we're getting things we need to get done, and we're taking care of our things that we need to do. Now, number 3, for my men out there, my future fathers, this one's very important. You need to talk to other men. You need to get out there, talk to other fathers, see what they did right, see what they may in their minds think they did wrong, and be open. We as men need to also be more open with other men in these kind of scenarios, because we can learn a lot from each other when we break down those walls and seek the help that we should get as men. Other fathers are a great resource for what to do, what not to do, and how to do it better for next time. So we should absolutely take advantage of the men and make sure they're men that you hold in high regard. Don't go. I wouldn't take baby daddy advice from Future. Go to somebody who you respect, is well known to you, has been a figure in your life of someone who you admired. So make sure that it's somebody of that caliber of person who you would strive to be too. Never take advice from someone you don't want to switch places with. Now, gentlemen, this might be the most important rule, if not one of the most important rules, and that's to seek advice from other women. That's right. Any kind of homegirl you may have, or long-term friend from high school or something like that, or your buddy's wife, your sister, your aunt, your niece, anybody that has any female in your life that has children. Ask their opinion on what they expected from their men. Now, obviously, every woman is going to be different. Your woman's going to be different from your buddy's woman, and your sister's going to be different than, your woman. Every woman's different. But you need to get a gauge of another female's perspective that's not your partner's, because you may be willing to accept it a little bit more because it comes from an outside source. That makes sense. So you want to make sure you are utilizing those resources that you do have of the other women that are involved in your life in some way. Seek advice from them. It will help. Number 5. Now, if you haven't already started this, you want to make sure you are starting to do the things that you're going to have to do that you're going to have to do later on in the pregnancy. So, for instance, foot rubs, getting food, dishes, trash. Start doing things around the house that she's not going to be able to do 6 months from now, even maybe 4 and 5 months from now. That way you're already building that mentality of, hey, I got to get this stuff done, so that way it's less burden on her. That way she can focus on, her own body and make sure she's taken care of, and her own, food intake and things like that. Making sure she's physically not having to do really much of anything if possible. Now, if your partner is anything like mine, she's gonna want to still do stuff, and you have to allow them to also still do the things that they really want to do, because it allows them a certain freedom of autonomy. No one wants to be a couch potato that's just like, oh, to just sit there and don't do anything. Sometimes women, they still want to be able to do some things on their own, because it's just you want to have your independence, and I can definitely understand that. So if it helps, if you don't know what that is, and sometimes I know we were supposed to be mind readers, but that's not the truth. So sit down with your partner and say, hey, what reasonably do you expect out of me to be able to assist you around the house and beyond, and where, whether you're at the store or whatever, what is it that you expect for me to get done? That way it's easier on you. To wrap it all up, gentlemen, remember that your wife or partner is gonna be craving a bunch of food, all kind of crazy foods, desserts, sweets, stuff like that, snacks. Don't judge. It's a very, very tough process on a woman's body, and it can be very. But some women can even kind of self-incriminate themselves. They're getting bigger, and they're like, "Oh, I just gained 20 pounds." It can be kind of a shell shock to the body, especially if someone is not used to that kind of weight. So never judge. Always be supportive, and really assure your woman, "Hey, it's all right. It's 9 months. We're gonna get through it. You're gonna be fine afterwards, and we're gonna work. We're gonna work on things even harder. After it's over. So that way we can help. Get you right back in order. Whether that's going to the gym, whether that's going on walks, whether that's you do some aerobics or cycling together, anything you guys can do together to kind of help that post-pregnancy will help. And we'll talk about some things like that as well. But never judge, always support. Can't go wrong with that. With that, guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I will post the links at the bottom in the description page. I also stream on a YouTube channel now. I used to stream on Twitch. Just going through some issues, so we're going to be streaming on YouTube now at the RobeDaddyyy Gaming channel. So I will post that at the link below. Until then, please give this video a like and a thumbs up, and I really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel somewhere. It should be right here below, somewhere right here. Do that, please. It supports the channel. See you guys next time.